Well, I'm always looking for opportunities to improve. I'm deeply committed to and believe in the concept of continuous improvement. There are always things that are front of mind in terms of opportunities for me to get better at certain things. The first thing that I'm trying to tighten up is to make sure that I've got a really very clear and tight product line. And what I mean by a very tight product line is I've got to be able to have key conversations with potential clients about the two or three programs, and they can be bespokely shaped after the initial interactions. But what are the two or three unique programs that are going to be the best value drivers?
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Pedro, and today's guest is Grant Doorey, founder of Moby Coach Australia. Grant helps leaders and teams in business and elite sport lift performance through practical, people-first leadership and culture transformation. With 25 years in high-performance professional sport and over 5 years translating those principles into business, he supports organizations to build resilient teams, reduce burnout, and deliver measurable, sustained results across sectors, including professional services, resources, finance, sales, and education. Welcome to the show, Grant.
Good morning, Pedro. Good morning from Queensland, Australia.
Yeah, good morning to you as well, sir. Well, I'm in Brazil, a little bit different. It's 4 p.m. here. So we got that going on. But Grant, it's great to have you. And I'd love to know about the origin story, rewind a bit. Because every coach has that moment where they look at their life and say, yeah, I guess this is what I'm doing now. Right? So when was that for you, Grant?
Yeah, I mean, it takes me back a long time, Pedro, when I think about my coaching origin story. I actually started coaching as a very young man. 17 years old. I was in my first year of teachers college in Sydney, Australia. My background's in education, and there's always been an incredible link between education and coaching. So I started coaching young sports people in Australia. I was deeply passionate about helping people get better, and I immediately was attracted to the connection side of coaching, where you created, long-term relationships, you build trust, and you're unable to unlock the potential in young people that brought, joy, connectedness, and saw young people succeeding and feeling great about themselves. So that were my original experiences with coaching.
Nice. That's interesting. Starting at such a young age, right? And helping people through considering that the sports as a theme and on the background, right? So yeah, very interesting. And when did it shift, right? From I'm helping people to I'm building a real business around this.
Well, my transition from that young coach to the coach I am now was anchored in my love of sport. So I actually was exposed to elite sport, both as a professional player myself. I played professional rugby, so I was exposed to high performance environments as a player. And then that transition to becoming a high performance coach. So I was very fortunate enough to coach elite professional rugby at the top of the game, and coached at 4 Rugby World Cups, and coached elite programs in Japan, New Zealand, Australia, the UK, Italy. So I was exposed to the top end of the game. So I was then deeply immersed in high performance environments. And when I stopped coaching professional sport in 2021, I transitioned from 2000. I was doing some part-time coaching. So I transitioned and thought, okay, well, what can I do with this passion for coaching? And there was a genuine appetite in the corporate world at that time to explore what practical high performance could look like in corporate teams. So I transferred that passion for growth, development, and high performance in sport and transitioned it across to the corporate world through multiple programs in the professional services sector, starting in
That's very interesting. So you're coming from a sports background coach, and then you transition to like leaders, and I wouldn't call business coach, but moving to a corporate world, right? So after you got rolling, who are the people that kept showing up, after that transition? The ones you realize, okay, this is my tribe, this is my people.
It's interesting you say that. Who's my tribe? Because what I'm noticing is that my tribe is continuing to grow, but it has a very distinct profile. So the profile that my tribe has is that there's a genuine curiosity about what all things performance can look like for them, and they're deeply committed to and curious to understand about what practical high performance can look like for them, for their teams, and what are the outcomes that curiosity and commitment to exploring high performance habits can lead to in terms of elevated outcomes and bottom line tangible deliverables in terms of how we can help organizations reduce burnout, save money, elevate trust, build connected teams, build robust leadership, build sustainable leadership, succession plans, and help unlock potential of their leaders, the teams, ultimately helping them achieve their key objectives and strategic initiatives. Yeah, good question. I mean, I've been very fortunate since starting in 2016 full-time on this coaching journey that pretty much everyone I work with has come back for more. The repeat business is key to is key to success. Retaining good clients is key to success. But ultimately, you've got to find those key clients or find those initial opportunities. So the initial opportunities that I found came through a connected network that I already had. So that was either through the rugby community that I was deeply connected to, or was through the professional environment that I managed to build through my direct and intentional ability to build trust and connection with people through different professional networks. LinkedIn is a good example. The key message is, well, what does it look like to open the door and then have the capability to keep your foot in the door long enough to create an opportunity and some curiosity and an appetite to go on a journey and explore high performance together. So that really was the start of it. And then I go through classic channels like most people do. I've got to spend probably 20 or 30% of my time connecting and engaging with my network. And that's how you build trust and connection.
Second. So, Grant, people find you through LinkedIn, through your network that you've built years to come and still building, and they resonate with your work, right? And eventually they want to know what working with you actually looks like. So everyone builds their coaching business a bit differently. So when someone actually becomes a client, Grant, what does that experience look like right now?
What they can bring to the coaching journey. So I was really committed early on to absolutely commit to taking people on a high performance journey. So everything from the initial introduction to the initial discovery calls, it's all anchored in concepts that are deeply rooted in high performance. So there's lots of language around accountability, lots of language around actions focused coaching, lots of language around trust, around connection, around alignment, around engagement. So I'm really authentic in terms of the way that I connect and engage with my potential clients. So there's no surprises after when we're starting to work together in terms of what a highly accountable, connected, and engaged coaching relationship looks like. So I really set that up for success, and I bring a high challenge, high support approach to my coaching style. And that's not for everyone. But what I am learning is that most people who really want to go on a high performance journey, they expect and have a mandate that potentially they need to change and create some new habits. So we help them with that, and we help them embed those habits, sustain those habits over time. And what they find is they start to achieve some genuinely sensational results and sensational outcomes, and do some of their best work and become highly successful. And they want more of that. They become deeply self-awareness driven work that's going to drive those tangible outcomes for them.
Your work seems pretty hands-on. Seems like, I would say, even a customized experience. So how do you think about capacity so you don't stretch yourself too thin, right? We all have 24 hours in a day.
Sure. And that I mean, the people who are deeply connected to their clients, might feel like the biggest handbrake to scaling their business is is the way they influence in the one-on-one coaching environment. So one of the key things that I've committed to over the last couple of years is how do we create one-to-many coaching opportunities? How do we create coaching communities where we're coaching more than one person at a time? But at the same time, we're not losing the integrity of the individual bespoke coaching experience that person needs to have. Because every single person's coaching journey is very uniquely different. Okay, and that's one of the challenges I have with many people's coaching approach, is that it is cookie cutter. It is one size fits all. I deeply believe in an authentic coaching experience that takes Pedro on a unique individual journey. Is much more about Pedro. It's much more about his unique skills. It's about his unique strengths. It's about unlocking those unique strengths through a journey of self-awareness, and also deeply connected to the work and the deep work that we do together that helps you create simple, repeatable consistencies of behavior that drive your performance outcomes. And they're related to your values, your skill sets, your motivations, your aspirations. So how do we not lose that individual flavor, but we can create some scale through projects that give us that one-to-many opportunity?
Create that ripple effect. Yeah, that makes sense. And one thing every coach wrestles with at some point is pricing, right? And how to package their work. And I'm not talking about hard numbers, but I want to tap into your experience here, because you came from a completely different background, right? You're coming from professional rugby and coaching in the sports way, in the sports industry. And now you're transitioning, and you have been transitioning for a while now, right? To more for like a business corporate world. So how do you think about it today? And were there any lessons along the way that shaped how you landed where you are right now? I mean, regarding pricing and how you see your self-worth, or how you see, am I charging enough? Am I not charging enough? That type of mentality and challenges usually coaches go through.
Yeah, the pricing challenge is real. And I think that we potentially, as coaches, we at any particular time on our coaching journey, we may have felt like we were undervalued, or we undervalued our work through incorrect pricing. Right? We've all had that that moment in time. And I was very fortunate early on. I did extensive amounts of work. I did programs across Australia and New Zealand. I did programs for Ernst & Young in the first year of my coaching journey. And I was working with hundreds of their leaders at a time. Okay. So it became quite easy for me to create that opportunity to position myself at the right place in the market, because my language was all about an elite experience. It was always about high performance. So my pricing was obviously directly reflected that. So I felt like I positioned myself in the right way initially, so that I wouldn't compromise on the value. So then you've got to be good at articulating and communicating and proving where your direct value add is. So people come to you and they see the return on investment, and they don't see you as a cost. They see you as an integrated part of their people development model and people development ecosystem, where your value is much higher than your hourly rate. So that's how I position it. And I don't compromise on my language. I'm really deliberate and intentional about keeping my language elite, performance focused, and that's the expectation. Ultimately, what happens over time, Pedro, is that you shift to rates where you're very comfortable, where you feel like you're doing your highest value work, and what you find is you end up with high value clients. And that's what I've found the direct correlation has worked really well for me.
That's an interesting way you picked up on value first, right? And later on, from value, you understand your pricing. Yeah, that makes perfect sense instead of the other way around. Because sometimes we see people that they first think about pricing and they don't tie an outcome to it or the positioning itself. Okay, that's a solid look. I really like that. Now, I'm curious, Grant, about where you're taking all this, right? Looking ahead, where do you see the business going? Are you thinking about scaling, hiring, or is there a next step you're excited about?
Yeah, the next step I'm excited about it is that I'm deeply committed to partnership, and I want to develop partnerships. I don't actually want clients. I want partners. So I've just signed a partnership here in Australia. I've been working very closely with an organisation over the last 4 to 5 years. We've done lots of very good work together. We really enjoy each other's style and approach. We're aligned on methodology. We're aligned on impact. We're aligned on the profile of clients that we hunt together, or we seek to serve together. So I've just signed an associate agreement with them that will allow me to do up to 100 days of work with them this year. So that gives me a really great foundation to work on the other parts of my coaching business that's going to allow me to develop my next partner. So I'm trying to create this more concept where I work with 2 or 3 partners, but we do multiple projects together because there's a high level of trust and a high level of alignment to the coaching journey that we're going to take our partners on. So less is more, and deeply connected partnerships anchored in trust and alignment is where I'm trying to take it.
Interesting. Yeah, I was thinking when you said partnerships, I was the keyword whenever I think about partnerships is like alignment, and you just dropped alignment, and I love that because it's like, hey, sometimes you're looking for X, Y, and Z service, right? Oh, we need a marketing team, we need X, Y, and Z, we need to hire someone, and if someone knows you and is aligned with the way you do things and you kind of know how they roll and they know how you roll, it makes the transition or the referral so much easier, right? Because they've been through the trial that, everyone makes mistakes, but sometimes we take some time to find that right person or right a business to refer to someone. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. And of course, whenever we were aiming toward the next chapter, right, there's always something we're refining in the present. So what are you currently trying to improve or tighten up in your business?
Well, I'm always looking for opportunities to improve. I'm deeply committed to and believe in the concept of continuous improvement. There are always things that are front of mind in terms of opportunities for me to get better at certain things. The first thing that I'm trying to tighten up is to make sure that I've got a really very clear and tight product line. And what I mean by a very tight product line is I've got to be able to have key conversations with potential clients about the 2 or 3 programs, and they can be bespokely shaped after the initial interactions. But what are the 2 or 3 unique programs that are going to be the best value drivers for those organizations? And focus on those 2 or 3 programs. And then if bespoke work comes in, great, I'll explore that bespoke work at the same time. But how do I create a narrow focus for my business so I'm not trying to do or be everything to everyone, but I've got a really refined approach to the way that I bring the highest value work to my partners. And I'm sort of finding that at the moment in a number of areas, but I'm still trying to refine that. There's lots of appetite out in the corporate world right now, particularly in Australia and New Zealand and Southeast Asia. about, well, what does practical high performance teaming look like? People are really curious about how do you help our senior sales team, who is the elite team in our organization, how do you help them be 10% more high performing? So we build programs that is directly targeted at elevating the performance of already pretty elite teams. And most of that work is, around consistency of habits and behavior, and making sure that there's an individual side to that coaching approach. But so ultimately the key message is I'm trying to refine it. So I have a core product line that is really simple to articulate, and the value is easy for partners to understand and see. They want to see value, not just hear about value. So it often comes to behavior change and sustained performance outcome drivers.
Interesting. Grant, I want to tap into your experience for a second because people listening can really benefit from this. You've been in the game long enough to hear all kinds of business advice, and some that sticks and some that really doesn't. And to highlight your background in sports, it's so easy to lose a game and just throw the plan out there, right? And say, this is not working. We need a new plan. And then lose the next, throw it back again. This is not working. And you're always trying to, reinvent the wheel. And I want to tap into that experience specifically. So what's one piece of a business advice you hear all the time that you think is overrated or misunderstood?
I think, the one piece of business advice I get consistently that I like to push back on is it's really based around, finding your unique value proposition and positioning your unique value proposition. So the danger in the method that I just spoke about is that it becomes too you-centric and it becomes too much about your product, your services. Okay, so I actually believe that one of my superpowers is my ability to connect, engage, and understand a partner. So if people are telling me to bring my unique value proposition to the table, I challenged them and said, no, my key responsibility is to unlock the key value proposition and the key journey that the partner is trying to go on. So how am I making everything that I do customer-centric? How am I making it about the outcome or the aspirations or the key objectives and strategic initiatives that the partner is trying to achieve? How is that front and center in all of my thinking? So that is true customer centricity. So yes, there's an element of me trying to refine my product suite, but it's got to be aligned to customer centricity and drive customer outcomes. Because if not, otherwise we're just delivering another coaching program that is potentially, it might make our people feel good momentarily, but it won't create, behavior change and performance shifts. And I'm trying to create programs that have a deep value and sustained performance impact.
Yeah, it's all about the root causes, right? And sometimes I see people being challenged in the coaching space, like, oh, give me the answer, when actually it's all about the journey, understanding the customer journey, like you said, and find the answers together, right? It's not just about giving you a recipe or something like that. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. And on the other side, Grant, what's a piece of advice you wish more people actually took seriously?
The key piece of advice I like people to take more seriously is what does this look like for you in your environment? So I think we often explore concepts or models, or we challenge people around specific behavior changes, but they don't get the opportunity to explore the practical integration into their work environment. So how do we take the concepts and principles of high performance and then really work on the integrated practical behavior changes that are going to drive those frontline leadership behaviors that have the most impact on their teams. So it's much, much more about integration than just about an awareness of, and I'll simplify it as I use this concept of the philosopher versus the tradesperson, right? So we have lots of people who really want to be philosophers. So they're just trying to build knowledge, have greater ideas, and to be on a soapbox and be able to tell a story. Well, we do need philosophers, right? But ultimately what the world needs right now is they need tradespeople. They need people that can take those skills, that can practically integrate those skills into an environment with an understanding of both the mechanics and the dynamics of the environment. And the mechanics, I mean the people, the processes and the systems. The dynamics, I mean the people, the culture, and the environment, and how we blend those two together to bring tangible, practical habits that are going to shift the behaviors in that environment. So how are we making it integrated? That's the key challenge. So taking it from the ideation to the practical integration of skills, habits, and behaviors that are shifting our outcomes.
Interesting. I love that. Grant, and if someone listening wants to connect with you or follow your work, where can people find you and connect with you?
Yeah, ultimately, I'm open to connection on LinkedIn all the time. So search up Grant Doorey or Moby Coach Australia on LinkedIn, connect, start a conversation, share something with me about your unique coaching journey. I've got a standard LinkedIn message I send to people when they first reach out to me. Let me know how I can help you succeed. And if there's anything that I can do to help people succeed, I try to find the way. And if I can't help them succeed, I try to connect them with somebody who might be able to. So I deeply believe in the value of connection. I deeply believe in that we do things better in a community. So let's build coaching communities where people can share, ideate, and grow together. I think it's a great part of the coaching industry that I've found, is that people are genuinely interested to connect, engage, and learn from each other. So let's keep that going.
That's awesome. There were a few things you shared today that really stuck with me. I would say first is that early background, right? In sports, and at such a young age you started noticing the coaching in you, right? And how that developed into such a natural and organic way. So I think that's really interesting. Also, I would emphasize the professional rugby background, right? And how many years you spent on that high pressure environment. And I think that resonates with a lot of people. As much as, like me, I don't know exactly how that works. I know how hard it must be, right? We have that idea of it's every day a new challenge. It's so much pressure in the sports environment. So yeah, that definitely resonates, I think, with a lot of people. And last but not least, the positioning, how you position value first, and how you did that in an order that most people don't do. It's like, hey, I'm positioning myself as an elite, service, and I need to take a look at first, how am I positioning value? And then we're going to look at price, right? Because that's the only way that really makes sense. It's how you tying outcome to the price, right? And not just a clock or something like that. It really is about the outcome. And the last thing is like the customer-centric experience, right? How you do that, and how you put them first, and in order to deliver the best of your abilities, right? So, Grant, I appreciate what you do. I appreciate you being here and sharing so openly today. It was great having you on.
Cool, Pedro. Yeah, and I mean, my last message to everyone who's out there on their own coaching journey is it's about people. Yeah, coaching is a people-centric industry. So every time we're in front of somebody, we've got an opportunity to enhance their day, to elevate their day, and I think that's one of the great joys of coaching. So let's not forget that, that people side of coaching, that care, compassion, and empathy that everyone needs to grow and be the best version of themselves. So let's be that one person they can go to.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.